Hello again, this is Brian Copeland talking. Welcome to another edition of Copeland's Corner. I have another distinguished panel of comics to join me this week to talk about some of the news of the week, and not a lot funny, so we're just going to talk. We're just going to talk. We're just going to chit-chat as we discuss the first 100 Trump days, among other things. Brent Weinbach is here. Brian Malow is back, and joining us for the first time, Clara Bijl. So welcome, everybody. Good to have you. Thanks for doing it.
Thanks for having me.
We have to talk about all 100 days in a row.
One at a time.
One at a time, yeah.
Well, starting with day one at a time. It feels weird, doesn't it? I mean, it feels like, well, it doesn't feel like it is a different country than it was 100 days ago. When you look at the stuff that's going on and the stuff that they're doing and the stuff that they're being allowed to pull without enough pushback from people who have the authority to do something about it, it feels like we are living in a different country. To me, how about you guys?
Yeah. I think to me, it was eye-opening to see the amount of nothing that people do. The people that are in charge that we're kind of relying on, the people that we elected, how they're happy with just letting him do whatever he wants to do. That to me was, I mean, I knew it, but I think it's good that we are seeing it as obviously, like, you know, when people were saying, oh, you know, a party over, you know, single issue, whatever, like we're, you know, it's the party above the law. And now it's very obvious, like it's all about winning. And and not a lot of people in the Republican Party is doing anything about it. And
no, they're not. You know, the legislative branch has just given away its power and authority. You know, they're supposed to have the power of the purse. Elon Musk, or, you know, so he's not even elected. You know, he's not supposed to be able to just come in there and decide who has to justify their job and who doesn't. There's a lot of terrible stuff we're going to get to. Brent, any thoughts before we jump into it?
It does feel like a different world because, you know, I'm so checked out at this point that I've withdrawn, and all I do is watch reruns of A Different World, the TV show, and The Cosby Show, and that's all I do. That's my world now.
I watch reruns of the first 50 days.
All right. So we're going to start with this. I'd like, if you have them, I'd like you to tell me what the 5 worst things you think this administration has done over the course of the last 100 days, because there's so much stuff. I'll start with my list. It can be anything. The one is the deportations and how they're doing it, and the fact that there's no due process, and there are U.S. citizens who are being caught up and deported and sent to, you know, El Salvador or wherever. But the most egregious is that without due process, a woman from Nicaragua, I believe it is, was deported, and she had a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old son, 7-year-old daughter. And they are citizens because they were born here, even though she wasn't. And even though Trump doesn't believe in that constitutional amendment, I think it's the 13th, that says that if you were born on U.S. soil, you are a citizen. So he deported them, and this 4-year-old has terminal cancer, has stage 4 cancer, and was deported without due process, meaning that they weren't even allowed to talk to a lawyer, which is what the law says. If you're going to be deported, you have the right to a hearing and the right to talk to an attorney first. So this 4-year-old has been deported and does not have access to his cancer medication. I mean, it's just, there's just cruelty beyond belief. So that's the first one. Second one, for me, is just the appointment of Kennedy and the stuff that Kennedy's saying and the stuff that Kennedy is doing. He is not qualified to be in that position. You don't put a vaccine denier in charge of deciding who gets vaccines and which ones get made. Every year, the CDC holds a meeting of doctors and scientists who decide, try to figure out what the flu strain is going to be for the next season so that they know what vaccine to develop. Well, this year, for the first time in 30 years, thanks to Kennedy, that meeting did not happen. So from what I understand, unless something happens quickly, there will not be a flu vaccine this fall, which means you're going to see a lot of people die, especially old people, who are immunocompromised, infants. So that's number two. Number three, the obvious one, and that's the tariffs, which are going to, from what I read, unless something changes, you're going to see a lot of pain over the course of the next several months, and a lot of small businesses are going to fold. I got a friend who has a dance and costume shop, where you buy tutus and dance shoes and all that stuff. And she was talking to her suppliers, and there's like half the stuff that she sells, she's not going to be able to get. She is not going to be able to get. So, her business is going to go under. Of course, Musk being in charge of anything that has to do with the government. This is a billionaire donor with massive conflicts of interest. You know how the guy who's got billions of dollars in government contracts having, some clerk at some agency justify why they're there. And this one today, and this one is really frightening, although we saw it coming, at least I did. Today being Wednesday, he signed an executive order directing the government to provide legal resources to police accused of wrongdoing. That's
Finally.
order.
That was the one we were all waiting for. Yeah.
Well, but he said, he when he campaigned, he said that if he was elected, he was going to do all that he could to make sure that no police officer could ever be held legally accountable or liable for anything they did. They had complete unqualified immunity. That's
for anything they do.
For anything that they do, anything that they do
that could backfire.
It
only takes one.
Yeah, well, let's not go there. I don't want to get
Luigi.
deported. I don't want to get deported. All right, so those are my five. You guys got five, or any things that you want to throw in terms of things that you think are the worst things of the last 100 days.
Do you have? I'll tell you. I don't have a formal five, but I feel like. Since I know a lot of scientists, I feel like we're not getting as much press for the science and health cuts. I mean, I know we've all heard about them, but I feel like I have an in and I'm hearing a lot more. And the consequences, just how many, first of all, foreign students is a huge amount of money coming into foreign college students is a vast amount of money coming into the U.S. every year, and a lot of people are entertained.
International students, right here.
Oh, okay. Are you? Where are you from?
France. I'm from France.
Yes. So people like you will think twice about coming to the United States, and then just because of what they're doing to science, scientists are looking elsewhere. Scientists from all over the world that would come here, and scientists that are here. A recent poll in Nature. You got to take it a little bit with a grain of salt, but basically of the people, scientists polled, about 75% said they were looking for a way to find work outside the United States. It doesn't mean there aren't that many positions, but people just are not up. There's going to be an unbelievable brain drain is the punchline. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. And it's a long-term thing. And even, this is the problem with the tariffs and some of the other things. Even if they 100% reverse course right now. Yeah. We haven't even felt the consequences yet.
Oh, not even close. They say by the end of May that most everyone will have felt the consequences of the tariff
because of like all that shipping and trucking and
there's going to be shortages and a lot of stuff that we can't get. Not to mention the fact that you have farmers who are going to be screwed over who export a lot. The U.S. farmers grow enough food to feed 120% of the population. So that extra 20% that it gets exported, and without being able to export it, it just rots. And now since you're deporting everybody who'd be picking it, how are they going to get it? It's just. I just shake my head.
It's incredible that this was able to happen, and the dismantling of everything, the breaking down of everything we're going to fire these people, and we fire them, and then we're going to rehire them. This is already just that is such a huge waste of money and of time and effort. One of the things, you asked us for five. I had more than five, but one of the things that obviously deportation, all of that, the relationship with other countries that don't longer trust us. People are not coming here on vacation. We've heard of, the German kid who came on vacation here, get held up. The Canadian kid that came here on vacation, get held up, sent back. This is traumatizing. People don't want to come here. And they should not come here because it's not safe right now. We don't know what's happening. So one of the things,
we lost billions, by the way, in tourism so far.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, today billions.
And the international students that we were talking about, I think when I came to school, so out of state students pay more than in-state students. Okay, international students pay even more than that. So schools need international students because it's a huge chunk of money. That's gone. Over and out for now.
Okay, I thought you had more.
Yeah, you got
you're
more.
raring to go with more.
Okay, I mean, here's my list. This is my, here's the top 5 worst things that he's done. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess number 5, coming in at number 5, it seems as though that maybe he's a little unprepared for this term's presidency.
You think?
Though he did say as much, when he ran. He said he had concepts of plans, and maybe we're still in the conceptual phase, testing things out, testing theories out, That's number 5. Number 4, obviously stock investments, I mean, we're already talking about it, but, whether you like Trump or not, the one silver lining you thought that there might have been is, hey, well, maybe stocks will go up, maybe we can kind of, get a little bit of that action going, we could make some money here.
Well, he said today that this is Biden's stock market.
Right.
How the hell is it Biden's stock market? They say everything, since Eve bit into the apple is Biden's fault.
No, he also said when stocks were up, he said it was because of him,
Yeah, like a year ago, right?
The Trump bump.
Exactly. Yeah.
He called it the Trump bump.
Yeah. And so, okay, so that's number 4. Number 3 is that he hasn't initiated a White House reality show yet. Why don't we see? I want to see. Look, if this stuff is going to be happening, let's get to see the drama. Let's see him fire. Let's see the people getting fired and stuff or whatever. I mean, that's what he's known for.
You may regret that, because some of the networks are making deals with family members of his to make shows, and Don Jr., I think, might have some kind of hunting show.
Okay, well, I'm talking about behind the scenes at the White House.
And that's not beyond. The thing about it is that's not funny because it's not beyond the realm of possibility with this guy.
Well, okay, I'm serious.
I know you're joking around.
It out there. For me, I'm putting it out there as a joke, but hopefully that
it'll be your fault.
You know what? It's Brett's list. Let's go ahead, Brett.
But since since those classified documents were in Mar-a-Lago, let's make them. Let's give it to everybody. Let's declassify it everywhere. All right, number 2, again. This is kind of like number 4. Another silver lining, I guess, about Trump being president is, hey, maybe, at least there'll be some funny stuff, some jokes. Not enough jokes this term, I feel, so far. You know what I mean? Let's get some, let's get some laughs here, Those are the 2 things, whether you like them or not, you could probably count on more, better stock investments or whatever, and laughs. So not enough laughs this year so far. Let's.
I think there's a disjoint because I think they think they're being funny, but what they think is funny, like on Valentine's Day when they showed this Valentine of Trump and his deportations are, and they wrote, roses are red, violets are blue. Come here illegally and we'll deport you. And then they had things with that ASMR, and they were using the chains of criminals for, so this is what they think is funny.
Well, I guess, okay. Well, then at least they're trying, but I do want to hear some, I would like to hear some more Trump insult, a little more on the Trump insult thing, and look, one of the funniest things he said, he did not say during the presidency yet, but it was on an interview. He was asked, how would he have stopped the war in Russia or whatever, in Ukraine. And he said, it would have never happened. What I would have done is I would have called Vladimir. I would have said, Vladimir, you're not going in there. And that's it. That was his answer. And that was one of the funniest things I heard, I think, last year. And you're not going in there. That's really funny to me. I want to hear more stuff like that. They're not. It's not even an insult. It's just a funny thing he said, right? Anyway, not enough of that. That's number 2. And then finally coming in at number one worst thing Trump has done so far. Number 1, Barafuku. That's my top 5 list.
Oh my God.
What about he did it right before the inauguration and now he's done it again. The Trump coin, the crypto scam.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a great one.
He's made like $1 billion or something already off of the way he's profiting off the president. I read something sickening yesterday. Well, first he embarrassed us at the Pope's funeral by falling asleep.
And then
there's pictures of him nodding off.
That's because he could be Pope.
I know.
Oh, that was Lindsey Graham. Yeah, can you stick your head up his ass anymore, Lindsey Graham?
Yeah, it's just
he's open to the idea of being Pope if they wanted him to be Pope. So the two ways that things that Trump did at the funeral where he fell asleep. And you're supposed to, at a funeral like that, be in black. Women are supposed to wear black dresses or black, pantsuits or whatever.
You're also supposed to draw eyes on your eyelids so that in case you do fall asleep, it still looks like you're awake.
Like you're awake.
Yeah.
And men are supposed to wear black suits and black tie, white shirt. Well, he showed up in a gray suit with like a blue shiny tie. When everybody else is dressed appropriately. And he said he wanted to stand out. That's what it is, apparently, he told his aides. Well, come to find out, the reason he wore that tie is because it's a part of a clothing collection that he's going to be introducing in the next month. You'll be able to buy
as
that
seen
tie.
at the Pope's funeral.
Well, it's good to know that he's thinking about something. He's at least planning something. He's not working on what the government should be like, but he knows that he has a new tie coming out on the market in a few months.
Well, the latest polls are just disastrous for him. Just disastrous. I mean, overwhelmingly, everybody is opposed to everything, with one exception. And this is the one I shake my head. The only place where he's up, because most of the places he's like 30 points down with the tariffs and some of the deportations and things. But in terms of securing the border, 55% of Americans are with him, or 55% of those polled are with him and think he's doing a good job. Everything else, he's got the lowest approval rating of any president ever of the first 100 days since his last term.
But thanks to racism, he's hanging in there just a little bit.
Thanks to his last term. He gave an interview at the end of the 100 days on Tuesday to Terry Moran from ABC. And ABC News has lost all credibility with me since they folded and paid him off on that bogus lawsuit. He was suing them because Stephanopoulos said that he called him a rapist. And he has been adjudicated a rapist. The judge in the E. Jean Carroll suit said that, and they would have won, but instead they folded. The reason you're seeing all these Trump shows or Trump-friendly shows that are being developed is because Hollywood's kissing his ass because they're afraid of regulation and what he might do. Melania getting a $40 million deal with Jeff Bezos for a documentary on her life for Amazon. I mean, it's just, so there's nothing where anybody's with him. So during this Terry Moran interview, Terry Moran asked him, what about the people? I'm trying to find the quote. What about the people who were saying that this is not what I signed up for? What are those people are saying that with the effect of the economy and they're unhappy with tariffs and other things, they're saying those who voted for him are saying this is not what I signed up for. And Trump's response, it was that, they did sign up for it, actually. This is what I campaigned on. So out of that interview, I think that's when you read the transcript of the interview or watch it, that's the one true thing he said. They did sign up for it. He told them exactly what he was going to do. They put it in writing, for God's sake. In the 2025 project, they put it in writing. And it's, I didn't know he meant us. I thought he meant it was just going to affect those.
Well, for the 2025 project, he also said, I've not read it. This is not me. He distanced himself from it. He gets elected. But it's also like, I don't know. I knew from age 8 not to trust what men said, that men were trying to lure you into the van. It's just like, do people not know? Like, if a guy tells you, oh, I could do something for you, it's too good. If it's too good to be true, just walk away. Are all the adults here just believing this guy because he's had a bunch of failed businesses? Like, he must know what he's doing. Yeah. So we're not, he said he didn't read it. So he said 20, that was not.
Well, every cult leader, every cult leader throughout history has been able to seduce his cult in one way by saying that you cannot believe anything anyone tells you except me.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. You cannot believe anything anybody tells you about anything unless it comes directly from my lips. And they're right in line with it. If all you're watching is Newsmax, and every once in a while now Fox News is showing a little bit of credibility, in terms of having legitimate polls and things like that. So, but I think,
hey, Brian,
right. Yeah,
I'm at, I feel that lack of sympathy. And there's a subreddit that I spend some time in called Leopards Ate My Face. Mm-hmm. And I do enjoy those stories. And I feel that lack of sympathy.
What are they? I've not seen this subreddit.
Oh, well, the thing about, voting for the party that the leopards will eat your face party, but you don't think that the leopards will eat your face. That's what the reference is. And it's a subreddit, Leopards Ate My Face. And it's just relentless stories of people. I didn't vote for this, regretting. It's like, holy shit, now my business, I'm in trucking and we're screwed. But here, I think I might have said this before, but what you just said, they are cult members. They are listening to their only trusted source. And we're in such information silos that they didn't all. And first of all, there's what Clara said too. He lies about some stuff. He said, no, Project 2025, I have nothing to do with that. And people hear that and they go, okay, well, I don't have to. And no other media is telling them differently. And if they're just trusting the government and Fox and X, then
Newsmax,
they're not really hearing all these things. So
no, they're not.
Some of this stuff, it's like, the immigration, he was pretty... For Latinos that voted for Trump,
I don't get that. It's
kind of hard to justify that.
I don't, Latino men, especially, it's like 5% of Latino men in their 20s voted for Trump. 5% of African-American men in their 20s voted for Trump. And I think, okay, African-American men, what are you thinking? If you're a black man in your 20s, you're at the prime age to get stopped for no reason and shot to death. And this guy said he's going to, give cops qualified immunity. Why are you voting for that? And Latinos, if you are brown now, there are all these stories of people being stopped who were born here. Some guy born in Nebraska was driving in Florida or something about a week ago and gets pulled over by the cops and brought in and jailed for 30 hours until he could prove that he was show me your papers. So it's all right. Let me flip it around a little bit. Is there anything good? Is there anything he's done that you've liked? Anything good? And will tell you straight up, no. And to show you that I'm not biased, the first term, he did two things I liked. I liked the Space Force idea. I love the Space Force idea. And Operation Warp Speed with the vaccine. I will give him that. That was him. That was his administration. And he's the reason that the vaccine that he then told people not to take, was developed as quickly as it was.
What he's doing now that is good is that he's giving more voices to more men, which I feel like in recent months, men have not had enough opportunities to express themselves and, to have their voices heard. So thanks to Trump, they're back on the forefront and making decisions for us, which is what we've been looking for. So, thanks, President Trump, for giving the mic back to men. And moving the women aside. We do see women in his administration, but they're kind of like behind and
They're walking behind, kind of like in China,
walking behind.
and 10 feet
So
behind.
yeah,
And also too, based on what you're saying is, white men are finally, we're finally ending discrimination against white men in this country.
exactly.
Because,
He's actually managed, and all his people, they've managed to flip it that, there is a hunt after white men, and they've managed to sell that idea that white men are doing really bad. And when you look at anything in the entertainment business, since this is what I know most, they're doing pretty well. They're doing pretty well, but they've managed to sell that narrative. They've managed to sell a lot of stuff, but I guess people are in the market for buying crap.
Sneakers.
Yes.
They sell lots of stuff, sneakers and coins.
Let me ask you this: being comics, and I just hate this. During the pandemic killed audiences. The pandemic just killed audiences.
Literally,
obviously during the shutdown, obviously, and then afterwards, people didn't want to go out. People were afraid to go out, and they're just starting to come back. I do a lot of one-man shows in theaters and stuff, and they're just finally starting to come back. They're saying that with the tariffs, people are already feeling it, or they're saving their money and they're stocking up.
I can't afford to see a foreign comedian in this economy.
So are you at all concerned? You're all concerned about it? About how it affects you?
I kind of think, no, I don't think it's affecting I don't know, actually, I mean, it doesn't really, I guess it's too soon to say maybe, but it doesn't seem like it's, did you guys, I mean, you feel it right now, for this term, or right now?
Well, no. Once the effects of the tariffs are felt. I mean,
once that, yeah.
I mean, looking back again to COVID in the Bay Area, we lost half of our literally 50%.
Maybe we just kind of go back to our roots to open mic style. We just kind of do free shows and stuff, and then that's how we can keep the comedy going. Just free comedy.
Do it over YouTube or whatever.
I think we miss the impacts a lot of things, because the people that will be impacted the worst are already poor and aren't the average expensive comedy show, 2-drink minimum, 2-item minimum. And so maybe the people that come to comedy, not that they're all rich, but it's like, I think that's how we have trouble seeing some effects, because the upper and middle classes aren't affected as much. And we're like, we're okay. I don't care if my bill goes up $10 this month. Like, we can weather, just like the super rich are going to weather anything that happens to the stock market.
Yeah, of course.
But a lot of people aren't.
No. Let me ask you this, because it's been a while since I've headlined a club. What is the average ticket price to get into a club on a Saturday night? And just a standard, like a punchline or whatever.
$25 general admission, maybe 35 if you want to sit up front. 40 if you want to sit on stage.
50 if you want to perform. You have to pay to play.
Pay to play. And
So
then
$35.
double that for your date, and then
Two
then
drinks.
4-item minimum. It's an expensive night.
Oh, it's crazy. It is crazy to me how much you pay at a comedy club. I mean, God, yeah, the minimum, and it's just crazy. I mean, yeah, you're spending at least $100.
Yeah.
And look at concerts. I mean, you nobody can afford to go to a concert anymore.
Exactly. It's still
It's
cheaper.
ridiculous. It's it's $500 to see like Beyonce or Taylor Swift or anything like that, like in crappy seats, on the second deck.
Yeah, I mean, recordings are going to be better than that. I mean, you might as well just be listening to the album. You can actually put headphones on and listen to every nuance of all the instruments. You can't do that at at a stadium. In fact, at stadiums, you're hearing things after you see them. Because the light is traveling faster than the sound.
Yeah.
If you're that far back, I mean, I remember doing this when I used to go to the Hollywood Bowl. We get the cheap seats in the back. I was hearing things a half an hour later, than I saw them,
That's why I always sit up front, to be the first one hit with the sound.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I have old ticket stubs from some classic rock bands, like first row, fifth row, $10, $12,
Ooh.
and everyone was getting rich on that. The band was flying in private jets, and they were all getting rich on $12 a seat.
And now it's well, why is it so high? Excuse me. Is it because of like StubHub buying up all the tickets and operations like that? because you a normal person can't pick up the phone and call a ticket agency and get 2 tickets to a concert. You just can't, not anymore. Not that you would do it on the phone anyway, except for going online to the website or whatnot. So a normal person who's not connected is not able to do that. So it's like, how in the hell did the prices get so high? I mean, it's just it's crazy. I can't tell you the last concert. Only concert I could afford to go to right now probably is going to one of these 80s bands, playing like at the Pavilion or something, or at the county fair. It's unbelievable, because whenever the economy goes bad, I've been in show business since I was 18 years old, between stand-up and one-man shows since I was 18 years old. And I've probably seen 5 or 6 recessions over the course of my career. And every single one, entertainment takes a hit. Entertainment's one of the first things to go, because it's disposable income. If you're not sure how you're going to pay your light bill, you don't have the $100 to go and take your
you don't get the joke. Yeah, you don't get to get a joke.
What's kind of crazy? Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go.
No, go, please.
No,
well, I was just curious about some of these bands. Are any of you guys Fish fans by any chance?
No, I'm not.
Well, I'm not. I mean, no disrespect to Fish or anything. I mean, I'm not a particular. I mean, I'm not really that familiar with Fish, but I know that their audience follows them all over the country. And
like Deadheads.
Yeah. I mean, they are kind of the new. I mean, they're kind of the next generation of Grateful Dead, basically. And I mean, anyway, I went to where they were having their concert this weekend in Los Angeles. I did a podcast outside there. We kind of interviewed people that were going there, and there are a lot of Dead shirts and stuff too. So it's kind of the new generation of that, basically. And when I say new generation, most people are middle age. I mean, they're in their 50s. Basically, that's the average age.
It's time for a new fish.
A new fish. Yeah, a fresh fish. We need a fresh fish. But I was thinking, how they must be spending so much money following this band around. And I thought, well, maybe I guess it is why people are in the, probably like middle age, more. I mean, there weren't that many people. There were some people in their 20s there, but not really. And I just thought that's kind of nuts how much money certain bands make when they have that kind of dedicated following, where they're paying for hotels every city they go to, and they're either flying or doing something to follow them around. Maybe they're driving, I guess, but it's just, that's crazy how much money. And there's spending ticket. I mean, they're going to, if they're in a city doing 3 shows, they're spending the money to go to 3 shows.
Yeah, that's right. They are.
And it's just, I mean, I don't know. I just was thinking, how do people all have all this money to follow this band around,
How much is it to see that show with 2 guys from Styx and 1 guy from REO Speedwagon?
Oh God, well, yeah, it's that's on tour now, I think, or it starts in May. It's Kevin Cronin, the lead singer of REO Speedwagon, because after 40 years they had some creative differences, about which of their old songs they were playing. Apparently, I don't know, but that was it, creative differences. And and it was Tommy Shaw from Styx, and I can't remember who else from
James
Styx.
Young.
Oh, is that who it is? And so
I think so. But I don't know the other.
That ticket is a couple $100. That ticket here is a couple $100.
And that's only fractions of bands.
Yeah.
We'll throw in Def Leppard, and he only has one of his original arms.
Complete digression.
That's a fraction of
when one of your bands, one of the bands that you followed in high school, goes on tour, and the original lead singer is somebody else. They got a different lead singer because, Peter Cetera from Chicago didn't need him anymore, and they brought Kevin Cronin left Zara. Whoever, do you go? I mean, because it's not going to sound the same. It's not the you go because you want to hear the hits. It's not the same thing. Dennis DeYoung left Styx, Steve Perry and Journey. It's not going to have the same sound. Even
if it is the same singer, it's still not the same too. It's just I remember. Okay, in 2002, I saw Psychedelic Furs and Echo and the Bunnymen.
Oh God!
And I was going because I love the 80s, and I love 80s music, and I went there, and I kind of just felt like it's not the 80s anymore. What am I doing here? It's not, it didn't feel like I didn't feel like I was going to, it further highlighted that it's not this is past or something like that. It just didn't feel it didn't feel like, oh, I'm actually getting, this feels like it's the 80s again. It didn't. It felt like anyway. So even when they're there, the real people are there. It's still
no, it's not. It's not the same. I went and saw REO Speedwagon the last time or actually it's been a couple of years, so I'm sure they've been to town since. And with the original band, when Kevin Cronin is the lead singer, and the difference is, it's been 40 years. He can't hit the notes anymore.
Oh, there's that too.
They have to sing it in a different octave. That Keep on Loving You and stuff does not sound the same. Now they have new stuff that you've never heard that they play. It's actually pretty good, and they can hit it. It's in the key that they sing. Here's something. Speaking of 80s music, I'm still kind of going. Air Supply. They're doing a biopic. An Air Supply bio. Why? Explain to me why.
We don't know anything about them. Maybe that's why.
And do we need to?
I know. That's crazy.
And nothing against Air Supply. I used to go back in the day. I had a girlfriend who loved them, and every time they came to town, I even opened for them actually once.
Oh wow!
On a spinning stage at the Circle Star Theater.
Spinning stage, really?
They had a rotating stage, and it's the weirdest way to do stand up because you're looking at somebody, and now they're over here. As the band, as the stage revolved.
Wow.
But why? Why?
Clara, do you have? I have an answer to this question, but does Clara have something?
What was the question about
the
Air Supply
band without their original singer?
Oh
yes.
Yeah, then we go back to people are willing to look beyond it's not the original singer. That's okay. I remember feeling like that when I was listening to them. Oh, it's not the original guitar player. That's okay. They're just willing to look beyond and play the part, right? So they're, I guess happy to go see, Dead and Company because it reminds them of what they were when they were great again. I don't know, and it's just it just reminds them of I've been to a few of these concerts, and, it's a lot of, middle-aged people whose kids are out of the house. They're out of college. They have a little bit of money. It is very expensive. I'm always surprised to see how full these shows are, and how expensive they are, but go, they love it. And they have a great.
Well, it's gotten crazy. I usually see Green Day every time Green Day comes through. I'll see Green Day and I'll see Weezer. And last concert I went to was Green Day and Weezer together on the same bill. But the last time they came, in the last 6 months, it's like I'm not paying $500 for a ticket. I am not. I'm not paying $500 for a ticket. Brian, you said you had an answer.
I do, and it's almost like I asked you to do this because my band growing up was Queen, and that's the $12 front row ticket that I had in 1982 and sixth row in 1980, and so they're a really interesting example. So Freddie Mercury is pretty irreplaceable. So the thing is, I see haters. So, but Adam Lambert has been touring with Queen for like 12 years now after he launched on American Idol or
Star Search or something like that.
Yeah, and I gotta say, 12 years ago, especially, I thought he had a Star Search sort of voice, not a rock voice, and it wasn't really my thing.
Star Search sort of
he did a damn good job, and I've continued. I've seen them over this span of years more times than I remember at obscene prices. You know what? He doesn't. They make it. They do a. There are haters that are like, if Freddie is not there, it's not Queen.
He does a good job, though.
He does a great job. And you know what? He's gay and campy, but he doesn't try to be Freddie at all. But he's just also gay and campy in his own way. So it's like a good fit, but he's not mimicking Freddie.
No, he brought his own personality to the game.
Yeah, not like that. Like I think both Judas Priest and Journey and Styx maybe all got people that basically sound like the original singer.
No, not Styx. Styx has got Tommy Shaw. Tommy Shaw's doing lead singing for Styx. But Journey there was some guy they found on YouTube, from what I understand.
But Queen didn't do that. And there's a guy that does an amazing Freddie, and people are like, they should have gotten Mark Martel. But it's like they didn't want to have someone mimicking him. They just wanted a strong singer.
They wanted Sammy Hagar to their Van Halen, basically.
Then
right?
I would only like Queen pre-Sammy, but I gotta say that for me, I want to see Brian May and Roger Taylor, the guitarist and drummer, and every song has a guitar solo. And
All right, so what's it cost now? What's it cost now to see them? What did you pay the last time you went? It wasn't $12. What did you pay the last time you went?
yeah, I mean, I'm not paying the $1,000.
But
VIP
those are not VIP anymore. That's the whole thing. $500 or $1,000 for VIP. You're down on the floor kind of a thing.
No, I know.
You know that's different. $500
now you
does
can
not get you
have
there now.
decent floor seats for like 500 or something.
No, you can't.
But you know what?
To
Like
who?
reasonable
To who?
floor seats, not like a, but you know what? I've seen some shows in London, and the shows they do in Europe, the floor is general admission. So you can get essentially the cheapest ticket, 150 pounds. And if you want, you can try to get right up front, better than any seat.
Okay,
For about the cheapest ticket.
Okay, here's a question for you. What's the most money you can remember ever paying to see somebody, to see a show? Either a concert or a comic or a play. What's the most that you've ever spent?
I mean, I remember the most I didn't spend, and I regretted it actually, which is Oscar Peterson was playing at Yoshi's in Oakland, and I didn't. And I at the time I just it was $100 or something, and he's a legend. He's one of my favorite jazz pianists. And I didn't do it. And I said, I shouldn't do, I said, I regretted that because he died eventually. And he's a legend. And
That was your last chance.
And so then I had this opportunity to see Ahmad Jamal in San Francisco. And this is after, and I was living in Los Angeles already. And I did spend around $100 to go. All in, I flew up just for the day to see Ahmad Jamal, and he was in his. I mean, he did end up dying too, but he was in his 90s, and I saw that, and I thought, yeah, I'm glad I did it this time. That was like 20 years later too. So I guess I answered both. What I didn't and what I did spend actually.
Clara, you remember the most you've ever spent?
Oh, I'm not in charge of ticket buying. That's when I got married, I've decided I'm not in charge of buying. My husband does all the ticket buying, and he spends a lot of time because, you were talking earlier about how expensive those tickets are. It's because you no longer buy them from just one platform. Like you just have to look at a gazillion platform. There is a bunch of people in between the time the ticket is sold and you have the tickets in your hand that are getting a cut. That's why everything is so expensive. So I don't have the patience for it, and I'm not good at not getting ripped off. So my husband is the one buying all the tickets.
Okay, Brian, you remember the most you've ever spent?
No, but it's like that, $400 or $500. I remember the first time I thought this. I saw Roger Waters did a tour of the Wall, and he came to San Jose.
And it's San Francisco,
pre 2012, because that's when I left San Francisco. So pre 2012, I saw him in San Jose, and it was like $400 something bucks. And what I thought afterwards was, you know what? It wasn't worth it because no concert is worth that much. Period. No. It wasn't worth it. But I kind of wanted to see it again. And I would I didn't end up doing it, but I was like, I kind of would like to see that show again. But I would not for
that kind of money.
But there is an artist, and I forgot who it is, so that's not going to be that interesting. But all the tickets are the same price.
There you go. Look at general.
And I thought it was the guy from Pink Floyd, but obviously I'm wrong. But I can't remember who it is. But anyways, that's
the most I've ever spent on a show was a Christmas present for my daughter. About I guess 12 years ago now, to see Hamilton during Hamilton's original run. And so for Christmas, she was my radio producer at the same time. And what you do when you're a host is you get a nice present for your producer because they work so hard, and also for your daughter. So I lumped them together. That's how I justified spending what I spent. So 2 orchestra seats to Hamilton during its first run, when it was in San Francisco at the Orpheum, and orchestra seats $2,000. $2,000 for a pair of tickets. But I justified it as being it was her producer present as well as her Christmas present from me. So that's the most that I've ever spent. And then I
that
later
would get you something in the cheap seats at a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, seriously. Seriously.
Do you guys remember that when Prince did 25 shows in Los Angeles and tickets were $20 or something like that?
Yeah, well, I remember when he did
$25 at most. Yeah,
it was like in 2010, 11, 12, something like that, when he did pop-up shows at like arenas. He did the Oakland Coliseum and did like 2 nights or 3 nights in a row, and it was like announced like a week or week and a half before, and it wasn't full. I mean, it's an arena. He did well, but it wasn't full, and the tickets were reasonably priced because they didn't. And everybody's going, "Why is he doing it?" And he was just playing the hits because their stories are going to see Prince concerts and not remembering or not hearing a note that you've ever heard or a song that you ever heard from him before because he was that prolific. That's what I want to again. But then we'll get back to new stuff. Just an aside is that when he died, which was however many years ago this week, April 21st. I'm reason I know because it was my birthday. He died on my birthday. They said that he had enough. Oh, thank you. That he had enough songs, that there was enough Prince music that had been recorded, already produced and recorded and not released, to release a brand new 10-track Prince album every year for the rest of the century. And I don't recall hearing anything about any of his music being released. Have you guys? I mean, did I somehow miss it?
He probably doesn't want that.
No, I think that's what I heard, that for some reason they're like, we might never hear it. I saw him once. It was the Purple Rain tour.
Ooh,
pretty good.
That's the tour to go to.
And you know what? My sister saw, I think in Atlanta, right before he died, he was doing this tour where he played piano. And I think the final night that he performed, he did 2 shows, and she saw the first one. He did another show, and I think maybe he died the next day. Am I remembering that right? She saw one of his last shows.
Oh.
Wow. I saw one show in San Francisco a couple weeks before he died, and it was just him and his piano, and he was phenomenal.
He
was just, the guy was just a force. Like his attitude on stage, everything that he brought, just a guy and a piano was just amazing. Yeah. But Brian, when you were saying earlier, like people were asking, like, why are you doing these shows, in LA, for no money or whatever. Like it's musicians and comedians, like, and artists, they need to create before they need. I mean, we do need the money, but you want to create and you want to show your stuff. So it's, he was doing it because he loved it, I'm assuming. I mean, it's
why we do what we do. I mean, that's it. We do it for free, and sometimes we have. Yeah, we do what we do for free. It's a compulsion. I have still do free
shows all the time, so I do shows for free, and maybe I get paid after, and most of the time I don't. But it's not about the money.
No, you're not jackhammering concrete. Nobody goes, I just don't feel right if I don't, I don't feel that I've expressed myself if I haven't torn up the sidewalk this week. Mm-hmm. It's just a different thing. Like with writers, same kind of thing. I got to write every day. If I don't write, I don't feel good. All right, here's a quick aside. 11 high school lacrosse players from a high school in upstate New York have been ordered to surrender to authorities within 48 hours after a hazing incident. And here's what they did. According to the DA in Onondaga County, April 24th, last week, a player went to McDonald's with an upperclassman after they had a lacrosse game. So on the way back from McDonald's, I guess the upperclassman was driving. He took a wrong turn and went to a remote wooded area where he pretended that he was lost. So then he got out of the car, and the underclassman gets out of the car, and out of nowhere come a bunch of guys all dressed in black. Some of them have guns. Some of them have knives, real guns, real knives. They put a pillowcase over the head of the underclassman. They tie his hands and his feet, and they put him in the trunk of a car and drove him around for a while. And then they eventually took him home. So 11 of these lacrosse players they've had their season canceled. The school has canceled their season. 11 of them have been ordered to surrender themselves because the DA wants to prosecute. So my question is this: the kid didn't get hurt, but there's no way this wasn't traumatizing.
Yeah, he's not sleeping well. I can guarantee you that.
There's no way that's not traumatizing. So what should happen? What should happen? It's a stupid, and we were in high school, we all did stupid shit.
No, I mean, there is,
but not like that.
Not with a gun and knife and like terrorizing someone, but I'm sure they feel like someone's going to come to their rescue at some point. I don't know. I mean, it's, yeah.
Would you put him in jail? Brent, you look like you have something.
Well, no, the kid was, so I'm sorry, the kid was, he was being hazed
Yeah.
to join what?
Well, he was already on the team, the lacrosse team.
Okay, he was on the team. It was like, he was new on the team. But, and the kid knew, I mean, I would imagine, did the kid know there's going to be some kind of hazing process?
Not a clue, but from what I understand, he was terrified.
Okay.
From what I understand, he was terrified.
Yeah.
If you're going to be hazed, I mean, it's not,
I think the real question is like, why did they choose to play lacrosse? Like that.
I got to be honest.
I mean,
I have to be honest and express my vocal ignorance on this. I don't know what lacrosse is.
It's
the only
terrible.
only time I ever see anything about lacrosse, it's something like this. There was a scandal with a lacrosse team, in hookers, a number of years ago. That's the only time I ever see anything about lacrosse. What is it? How do you play it?
Isn't it? There's these sort of curved kind of things that throw the ball, like they catch or throw balls with these curved kind of extended gloves or something like that, right?
No. Yeah, it's
That's
a
rollerball.
It's like a hockey stick, and the end of the hockey stick has like a mitten.
Oh, there's a mitten at the end.
Yeah, and so you just scoop up the ball.
Oh, scoop! It's a scoop. That's what I was thinking about.
Scoop up the ball.
Yeah.
You hit everybody that's next to you with the back of the stick, kick, and then somehow you score, but you end up hitting the top of the mitten on the face of someone else. And if they're in the way, you're totally allowed to elbow, push, kick, everything. But you have an outfit, so
It's like hockey. It sounds like hockey.
The outfit, it sounds almost like the scoop thing is almost like a sickle or something like that. And I don't know. Actually, it made me think that there could be what about a sport where you dress up in a sort of a Grim Reaper outfit, and you kind of like are, hitting balls and or something like that, or maybe you're hitting bodies with a sickle or something. That could be.
Is it exciting to watch at all, or is it boring to watch?
No, it's nerve-wracking because your son is playing last year and you didn't know what it was, and then your kid gets like literally flown off the field because other parents are yelling to their kids, be more aggressive, and you're like, oh my God, I've been teaching him not to push and shove. Like, what did we get ourselves into? And that was the last game we played. Because
so your son wasn't the one throwing the elbows; he was the one receiving them.
End. He was on the receiving end. Yeah, one of his friend and my son wanted to try it, and the other mom and I didn't know, so we were like, "Oh yeah, sure!" Like happy they want to try something. And we meet the coach, and he seems like, I don't know, a normal person. And then he's like, "Meet us at the storage room so I can give you the uniforms." And already I'm like, what is this? And then he gives us the uniform, and it's just like massive. I mean, it's like a hockey thing,
Pads and all that stuff.
Yeah, we had to carry it, and then
I thought you were going to say we met him in the warehouse and he was wearing a black suit and had a gun and tied you guys up. And he
put a pillowcase over your head.
Perhaps if your son
he put exactly a hoodie over us, and they had things. And
if your son had gone through the proper hazing preparation, he would have been able to handle the.
He would have been scared of nothing. Maybe that was the purpose of that hazing.
That's the question I was kind of asking: is did he? If someone joins a frat and they know there's going to be some hazing,
but there isn't. That's the thing. Most schools prohibit it. They have in their handbooks and stuff.
Yeah, I think
they strictly prohibit it.
Right, but they still do something, right? I mean, or people I think would maybe know. And look, some people may not know what they're signing up for. Kind of like those people with Trump or whatever. Is they might not know. I mean, look. Even though it's prohibited, there's going to be a lot of these frats are still doing some form of hazing in some way or another. Probably. It's not going to be as crazy as it has been in the past or whatever, but there's going to be some initiation process. And I think people joining fraternities kind of know that something's up, that there's going to be something. I mean, they must be told something, right?
But not like that. I mean, they've had.
No. Well, that's the thing. Is this kid might not have known anything at all. He probably. It sounds like maybe he didn't know what he was getting into.
He's getting a ride home after going to McDonald's after the game.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he's got a pillowcase on his head.
If he didn't know. If he was completely, if he was completely naive to this, then
of course he was.
Something
probably like a freshman or sophomore.
We also have to stop this group
Yeah.
You know, that it's okay because it was part of the sport, like it was part of the team, and we were a bunch of us, and like we got to stop with this. Like each of one person is responsible for what they did individually. Like
Let's lock those boys up.
That's what I said.
Yeah, so you say too?
Yeah.
Brian,
Yeah,
is it unanimous? You're on the jury. They're charged with kidnapping, among other things.
I guess if you don't want to have a high quality lacrosse league, then sure, lock them up.
Stats. All depends
Like
on
you're looking like, okay, lock them up. That's going to ruin their lives. You know, now obviously they can't play college lacrosse or whatever. Well, what about the kid who's not sleeping for a while? You know, what about him?
Well, maybe he can let them. Maybe they can get that kid and let him sit in a chair, and then all the other guys have to lay on his lap, and he gets to spank them 10 times each
with a paddle.
And then, and really hard too. He gets to spank them hard. Yeah,
but there've been some hazings over the years where kids have gotten killed, and that's why they cracked down and stuff that those who were what do you say, perpetuating the hazing, did not realize was dangerous. And I'm just off the top of my head, I remember there was a story years ago at Chico University, where the fraternity hazing was that the kid had to drink a certain amount of water or over a period of time.
I thought you were about to say semen, but
Jesus, and he died because you can die from drinking too much water.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't know that beforehand. I forget how much it was he drank, but there's like an intoxication or something you get just from drinking water. If you drink, 5 gallons or something ridiculous.
You drown yourself. Yeah.
Basically. And so because of that, they've schools have cracked down. Another school story. Supreme Court today, Wednesday, heard arguments about separation of church and state because there is a Catholic charter school in Oklahoma that wants government sponsorship, that wants taxpayer money to run this school. And right now, if you're a private school, and especially if you're a religious school, you cannot do that with taxpayer funds. And the other issue with a private school, too, is, everybody's paying taxes, but a private school can reject whoever they want. So the question is this: do you think that religious schools should get taxpayer funding? And the Supreme Court, that by the questions that were asked by Clarence Thomas, which surprises me because he hardly ever opens his mouth to say anything other than, sure, I'll take that. They seem to be open to the idea. And as somebody who sent 3 kids all the way from Catholic school from kindergarten through high school, I went through grade school through college to Catholic schools. So it's not an anti-Catholicism thing for me. I'd say any religion. Now, I don't think any religion should be getting taxpayer money for any activities. Taxes.
Maybe if they let maybe they get the funding only if all the faculty agrees to get spanked by that lacrosse kid. They have to get there's punishment, and then they're
getting spanked.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised that that's not already part of the curriculum.
Right.
But there's a guy in Texas. Is he a congressman or a senator? James Tallarico. Do you know who this guy is?
It's got to be a congressman because I don't know.
He's really interesting, and he's been fighting. I've been seeing clips of him for months speaking about Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the Texas version of that, which is a voucher system to give vouchers that people can spend. They're gutting public education, and then they want to give this money, give you $10,000 and they pitch it as about school choice. School choice. Yeah. But the way it works out is like the way he describes it is like maybe it's this $10,000 voucher. Well, the schools cost $20,000. So if you're poor and you get a $10,000, it doesn't help you at all. But the rich people that were already paying the $20 because they wanted to go to that private school, they already were paying the $20, and now they get a $10,000 rebate. And instead we're gutting public schools, and those people can't even afford that school. And they don't have requirements like they don't have to provide transportation to school, and rich people don't want their kids in buses anyway.
What's amazing to me is I have done a couple of things at where I've given talks or something or done a show at high schools, public high schools in wealthy communities, and it's unbelievable. I mean, it's like I went to a Catholic high school, and it looks like a private school. the ones that I've gone to, they look like private schools in terms of the amenities and in terms of the equipment that they have. And it just, the fact that this is taxpayer money and you can go somewhere, well, all of them that I performed at or did something at, you could go to a public school 15 or 20 miles away and, you'll find doors hanging off the hinges. Or I remember once there was a story that there was a bathroom, there was an elementary school in Oakland where the bathrooms had not worked. The boys' bathrooms had been out of order for like 5 years. I don't know. Don't ask me what they did. I have no idea, but for 5 years. And so that night I had been asked to MC an event at a very wealthy community not far from San Francisco for an auction, public school, to get computers. So this is like the 90s, to get computers in the classrooms there was middle schoolers. It was a middle school thing. So I have emceed my kids' elementary school auction. The biggest thing you'll get is somebody will donate like a luxury box to a Giants game or something like that. And at the end of the night, if we made like $30,000 or something, that was a good night. So this thing, it was Neil Young donated lunch and an afternoon in his studio. Larry Ellison donated his private jet to fly the high bidder away to his island for a weekend. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating at all. So by the end of this auction, they had raised $250,000 for a public school to get kids computers. Yet 30 miles away, there is a public school where the boys can't even go into a bathroom to pee. It's just, there's got to be some better way to fund schools than the way it's done. Because the wealthy school communities are all, if you give them nothing, they're still going to be able to find a way to supplement what the funding of the school. They're still going to find a way to do it. So, and that's the thing that scares me about this administration is that they're making education harder. They're making it harder to get education. And it seems like they only want a certain kind of, he's talking about garnishing the wages of people who want student loans. I mean, I've got Eric Swalwell. I'm doing an interview with for the podcast next week. My congressman, in fact, and he's a U.S. congressman, and he's still got student loans. A United States congressman is still. That's how bad it is. Still got student loans. You guys got your loans paid off? I don't want to out you.
I did, but I didn't. I worked really hard, out of college, and I wanted to just get it done with, paid it off.
But you can't now. I mean, when I was going to college, you could work your way through. You could do it. You could work, but now there's no way. There's no way that you can work your way through, wait tables and work your way through college.
I mean, I got some grants and stuff. I was lucky. I mean, I got some grants in college, so I didn't have a huge loan debt out of college, and I was able to pay it off after a couple of years of just working 12 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's a system that, I'll ask you this. We'll make this the last question.
Maybe they should adopt the concert ticket system. And if you want to really learn, you got to pay the $1,000 and sit up front. And if you want the cheap seats, you just won't learn it as many words.
You barely hear anything. Yeah.
Or maybe they should force students to become performers, and then they could just charge crazy prices for their shows.
Everyone wants to be an influencer. Go to Influencer High, and that's all you want to learn anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, with that, we are out of time. Anything you guys want to plug? Brent, anything coming up?
May 21st, I have a new stand-up special that comes out. It's called Popular Culture. We cover I cover all the hottest pop culture figures today, such as Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley. So, if you like that, check it out.
I love topical humor.
Topical humor.
It's a show business archaeological dig, is what
exactly.
It sounds like.
It's on my YouTube channel, Brent Weinbach. Just Brent Weinbach on YouTube.
Okay, Brian, anything?
I don't really have anything except if I'm on your show again, I'll be coming to you live from Mexico.
Really? How long?
Really? What?
How long are you going to be in Mexico?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're going to let you back in? That's the thing. You really want to leave the country?
Well, I'm going as a temporary resident. I'm not planning to come back immediately.
And you're going there with a name like Malow. I know
Malow
that's your own joke. I know, but they might not let you back in. Yeah.
I like dropping that at the end when we don't have time to discuss it anyway.
Yeah.
I'll let you know what happened.
We'll bring it up next time. Well, yeah, hopefully you'll do the show again. Clara, you want to plug anything?
I do. Thanks for having me, for one. Two, I am currently, this is a fundraising period for Clara Bijl. I'm fundraising to make a movie. So I am headlining myself around breweries and wineries and clubs around the Bay Area. In May 29th, I'm performing in San Carlos. And all the money for that show will go towards my film. And yeah, that's it. So people can find out more.
No, that's not it. You're doing a show with me on May 10th.
I'm doing a show with you on May 10th. And you know what?
May 10th.
I am also going to see you on May 6th at Mrs. Dalloway's.
Oh, you are? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'll mention that in a minute. But yeah, we've got a show that we're doing at the Castro Valley Performing Arts Center on May 10th, the day before Mother's Day, and it's called Lighten Up for Mother's Day. 6 great comics. Carla Clay is on the bill, Joe Klosik, Clara, Frank Olivier, who's in a million Tonight shows and Broadway and everything else, is going to headline. So tickets to that show, you can go to the Castro Valley Performing Arts Center's website, or you can go to briancopeland.com. There's a link there to get it as well. So thank you. Thank you for plugging it.
Things I was going to say. I was totally going to finish with, I was starting with May 29th, and I was going to go May 10th. And
okay. All right. I believe you. I believe I'll book you again. I believe you. I believe you. And Mrs. Dalloway's is a bookstore that I discovered in Berkeley. I got I was honored by the Berkeley Library System for they have a big author event where they pick 25 authors and give them an award for contributions to literature. And I have my second crime fiction thriller in my Topher Davis series called Shadows of Justice was released nationwide yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The second one in the series yesterday, the 29th of April. It is available everywhere books are sold, plus, of course, Amazon. You can get it Walmart online, Target online, you go into Barnes & Noble and get it. So it's all over the place.
How much is it with the tariff?
You know what? That's the thing I didn't get to, and we're out of time, but I'm going to get to it really quickly for a second. And that is that Amazon was going to list with their prices at checkout how much of what you were paying was going for the tariff. And the White House had a shit fit because of the fact that they don't want people to know, I guess, how much more they're paying for things. Do you think that you should know that? Do you think that should be available information? We know what the sales tax is. We know, what shipping is. Why shouldn't we know how much of it is going towards a tariff?
Yeah, I think it's usually when people want to try to hide things, like it's not good. Like you should want to operate your business like, I'm being as transparent. Hey, look, I'm doing a comedy show. Tickets are $35 a ticket. There's 100 seat, we split 60-40. Okay, that's easy. Then you're like, well, why am I only getting $400? Like, what's going on? Like you should be able to know where the money goes. So yeah, I say be more transparent, but I get it. Like people don't like to be transparent with.
Yeah, well, no, they're afraid of how bad it's going to make the White House look. That's it. People are already pissed. They haven't even felt the effects yet, and people are already pissed. When they look and they buy something from Amazon and it's 25% more.
And let's just say it's an education. Like people need to know, because I think when Trump was running on saying the tariffs, people don't understand. People did not fully understand.
No.
And so this would be a good opportunity for them to educate themselves, and maybe they don't want that.
They're still expressing surprise that it's like, what do you mean? It's like they pay, right? We don't pay. But Amazon didn't start this. Especially small businesses and others have been doing it just to let them know. It's like, sorry, we have to raise. I don't think there's any obligation to, but it's like you want to say why our prices are suddenly so high. It's like the thing that sucks is that what's the point of having $200 billion when you're that big a pussy that you roll over? Like, wow, you $200 billion and you still can't just do what you want to do. When is it enough?
Wow. But you're right about that. And I went to Denny's the other day, and they got a sign in the window that there's a surcharge of 50 cents for every egg. Because of bird flu and the egg shortage, there's now a surcharge if you get eggs at Denny's. And I'm sure they're not the only one. I'm sure they're not the only place to do that.
You can get your deposit back on the shell.
You don't go to the restaurant and say, oh, there is a 50-cent surcharge per egg and you're paying Denny's. No, it's like, wait, you mean
I hear
have to pay it?
Yeah, the people who didn't well, Trump clearly didn't understand what what tariffs meant. He's been talking about tariffs for 20 years. Clearly he didn't understand. It's a tax on us, you knucklehead. We're the ones that are paying it, and we're going to pay dearly. So, all right, Brent Weinbach, Brian Malow, Clara Bijl, great to have you guys all on. And yes, you come on from Mexico. Hopefully you can get a signal.
Hopefully,
yeah. Hopefully you can get good Wi-Fi there. We'll see. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having you all. Thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. We will check you out again next Thursday. If you like what it is that you saw, if you're watching us on YouTube, if you would subscribe and would send the link on to your friends, we'd appreciate that. If you are listening to the audio version, please go to your podcast provider and leave us a review. Leave us a 5-star review because it helps people to find the show. So thanks very much. I will check you out next week with another Poundland Comics. Until then, be kind to your neighbor. He knows where you live.
Bye-bye.
Bye.